We only need to get a good look at a human face for a few minutes for that face, that particular pattern of features, to be permanently recorded somewhere in our brains. We may not remember the name, we probably won't remember the details of the features, but if we ever see it again, we'll know we've seen that face. And the way that we remember a face is not by a recognition of the individual features. What we have in our brains fixed is a map, a pattern of the arrangement of the features, the spaces between the features, and the skull is the structure underneath it, and this is what fixes the features in their places. If you get the pattern from the skull, you've got the pattern of the individual face. Within this quite small facial area, the structure of the skull defines where each individual feature will be. The most obvious things are the two eye orbits. The organs of the eye sit very deeply in here and are protected by bony surrounds. There's a brow ridge, not much of one in modern man. There's the cheekbones themselves, which define the width of the face whilst also protecting the eye. The nose ridge comes out. It doesn't continue very far, and the rest of the nose is fleshy and cartilaginous. You'll notice that the dental arch has a very strong form, and obviously the lips have to be in that area. The lower jaw is very, very close to the surface, so that defines the lower part of the face. So understanding the skull is the same thing as understanding the face. If you get the structure of that right, then you'll get a face which is a real recognizable face. So before we even start on drawing facial features, let's try drawing this skull. And we'll place it here so we can see it. There we go. Now, before getting into detail, let's try and find an overall form that will enclose the whole of this skull in one simple shape. And from my view here, it's a tipped ovoid, an egg. The lower point of the egg being the tip of the jaw, and the rounder shape enclosing most of the cranium. Now the essential point is that this is a tipped oval. It's not an upright oval with the lower point of the oval sitting in the neck. The neck intrudes somewhere like that. So here's a tipped oval. Now let's try and give that some form based on the light that we have here. And the main change of tone is somewhere around there. And it's where the change occurs which is more important than the actual tone that's there. All of this could be anything. It might be another colour, but it's just an indication that side's in shadow. But where it changes is the most important thing for making that look like an ovoid. And you might find that, as I do, that to add some shapes where I think the most light is falling, which is there, helps to create this feeling of a solid. Now I don't want to do too much there because I've got to draw over it and convert it into a real skull, but basically you can see that now represents an ovoid form. Now let's cut into it a little. I guess that somewhere around there is going to be where the two eye orbits are going to fit. Don't know exactly what shape they are for the moment, but it's going to be something like that. And it's perhaps a bit lower. Nice thing about using charcoal, which I'm doing, is that you can make these modifications and pretty easily change everything as you're going. So I'm putting down what I think at the present state is where those eye orbits are, but I'm quite ready to change them. Right, now here we get what's called the zygomatic arch, which is the cheekbone. You can feel it very close to the surface on your own face. And they are symmetrical, each side of the face. So again, they're going to have to follow this angle that we have across the front of the face. And here's the centre line, which is very useful. And as we work down the face, I use a little triangle which is sort of the centre of the eye orbits. In life, it's the centre of the eye down to the centre of the mouth, which gives me an idea of just the overall shape of this facial area. Now, this was the original ovoid form, and here I'm losing it. I'm having to cut a bit out. This is where the skull has a gap. It has a gap this side too, but it's not so obvious, but it's there. And again, we have another cutaway, because this is the cranium, and this bit is cut away because we have the lower jaw, which of course is a separate item, but as far as we're concerned, it's joined together. This is a hole, the nasal hole, and of course in life there'll be a lot more added to that. The bridge is there, but the rest of the nose is cartilaginous and fleshy. Not drawing individual teeth at the moment, not really necessary, as long as we get the solidity of the arc of the teeth. In fact, in this particular skull, the lower teeth are almost obscured from where I'm looking at them. And here we come to the lower jaw. Now, there's a hollow here. It gives a flat, well, in fact, a concave form to the side of the head. In life, that's filled by a muscle, quite a big, fat, strong muscle. And this is the temporal muscle, which runs underneath the zygomatic arch and emerges to join onto the lower jaw. In addition, there's another muscle which fills this hollow that we can see on that side, and this hollow that is not quite so apparent on this side. This is another big, fat, strong muscle which fills the form and fills out so that it looks like a human head rather than a skull. And that attaches on the lower edge of the zygomatic arch and to the lower part of the jaw. Those two combine to be able to exert pressure and hold the jaw shut and gives us a strong bite. I tend to draw, if I feel that a form has a certain roundness, I tend to draw around it like a contour, to sort of say that that's an upland. And there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't. There's a feeling that the outline is the thing you have to draw. In fact, that outline that I drew there doesn't actually exist. There isn't actually a line around things. What happens is that form turns away out of sight, and I see the background. That's the object. That's the background. There isn't a line, but we accept that as a convention. So if we accept that, why not others? Why not say, that's what I think that's roundy bit, and then